this lesson is on the quiz. Okay, first 4 lessons of this booklet are on the quiz.
Is this the last lesson?
This is the last lesson. Okay. Tomorrow there's a new lesson, but it is not on the quiz. Pardon? No. We don't do a review day for quizzes. I know I did for the first one, but that is because it was the first one. Okay, we have half a period to review on Friday. But no, tomorrow is a lesson. This, as I said, this is a fast-paced course. Okay, so today, yes?
You were saying before that you might post like practice quizzes or practice tests before.
It's all there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you look at Brightspace, I just used the stuff from last year, so it's all there already. Yeah. So Kiara said something important. There is a practice quiz online, right? Do it. Because the practice test is important. So today we are finding quadratic equations given real roots. Okay? So I'm going to give you information and we're going to find the equation. We're going to use some algebra to do it. All right. So the question is usually framed this way. Recall, the roots of a quadratic equation are the same as the zeros corresponding to the quadratic function. So if you're given roots, it's as if they are the same as zeros for a quadratic function. Consider 2 quadratic functions with the same zero. So imagine we have these 2 parabolas and they have the same zeros. So they're going to cross the x-axis at the same place, but you can see they're different. Okay, so what's the only difference in that equation? A, H, or K? No, the H, the vertex, K is different, but it's the A, right? So it's the A that determines the shape of the parabola. And so all we need to do is find the value of A. Okay, so the questions will be framed this way. You're going to have given. You're going to be given 2 real roots and a point. So you're kind of given 3 points. Required is going to be to find the equation of the function, and then we'll work on the solution. So this is how we do it. Step 1, most of the time, we're going to start with the factored form, where R1 and R2 are the roots. Notice there's a minus in there. Then we're going to insert the given point, the x and the y, to find A. This is similar as we did in grade 9 to find the equation of a line. Lastly, the vertex will be located halfway between the roots. So if we need to find the vertex, it's halfway between the roots. Okay, and we can use the midpoint formula. All right, so let's start this first off using the factored form. Okay, let's read the question. Determine the equation of the quadratic function in both factored and standard form that passes through the point if the roots, zeros, x-intercepts are this, and determine the coordinates of the vertex. Wow, they're asking for a lot. Okay, so let's write down what we know. Okay, so given, I know that there's a point to negative 15, right? Just as a reminder, oh, that's my x, that's my y. Oh, yeah. Next, I know that I have roots, but roots are the same thing as x-intercepts. And we said that for x-intercepts, the y's are 0. Oh, so that means I've got 1, 0, and negative 3, 0. Right? These are my x-ints. So we've got 3 points. We can do this. It's enough information. We're going to start off by using the factored form. Okay, that is y equals a, I don't know a, x minus, and we'll plug in the two roots. So one root is 1, the other root is -3. So just pause here and notice what we did. We used the factored form, and we're plugging in the two roots. Now, the formula has negatives, right? So you can see that once I simplify this, I'm going to have x minus 1 and x plus 3, right? And so you can skip that first step that I did, but I just wanted to show you how it is that we're going to get that x plus 3. Okay. I forget what to do. Well, let's look at these hints. So I did this, used factored form. Then insert the given point to find a. I see. So our given point, we're going to sub in to -15. Same equation, and just now, instead of y, I'm writing -15. And instead of x, I'm writing 2. So again, pause to see if you understand what we did in this step. This is another important step to understand. And what do we do now? Yeah, we do the math, i.e., and we're going to solve for a. So following BEDMAS, I first do what's inside the brackets. So I've got -15 equals a. 2 minus 1 is 1. 2 plus 3 is 5. Great. -15 equals 1 times 5a. Divide both sides by 5. Okay. And we get that a is -3. I like to draw boxes around my answer so that I can easily find those important pieces. I go back to the question. I notice they say, okay, provide the quadratic function in factored form. Okay, so I can do that. Right, so it's important that we know the differences between all these forms. So factored form looks like this. Y equals, now we have the a, -3, x minus 1, x plus 3. Right, this is what we called factored form. Yes. I am recording. Yes, thank you for checking. Okay, we good so far? So let's a quick review. Okay, first step, we plugged in the roots. Okay, maybe I should say this. Sub in roots. That was step 1. Okay, subbed in the roots. Step 2, sub in the point. And then we solved for a. Okay, and step 3 was to write it in factored form once we have the a value, right? That goes here. But we're not done because I go back to my question and I see all the words that I highlighted or circled. And I'm like, oh, now I also have to give the equation in standard form. So let's go from factored to standard. Okay. So I'll just write it out here because I'm starting on this line. Any idea how I can go to standard form? What's the word? Open the brackets? Yeah, and what do we call that word? What is it called? Expand. Yeah, let's just expand. Expand. I don't actually know why it's called expand, but it's called expand. All right. So I'll use FOIL. X squared minus x plus 3x minus 3. Take as many or as few steps as you need. Notice I keep the negative 3 until the end, just to make sure I'm not doing too much. Okay, so try to do this on your own and check with my answer. See if you agree, or if you have questions. We good? Are we done? Go back to the question. See all those things you underlined and circled. We are not done. Okay, we actually have two ways to find a vertex. What would be one way that we already know how to do? Mustafa? Yeah. And how do we get to vertex form? What's that thing called?
Finding the perfect square.
Almost, you complete the square. We could complete the square. Okay, I'll show you another way, just so you have more arsenal here. All right, do you remember the midpoint formula? And if you don't, you take, if you want to find the middle of 2 points, you take the x's, add them up divided by 2 to find the average. And then you could also take the y's, divide them by 2 to find the average. In this case, we're going to take the two roots and find the middle x. Okay? Because we know that in a parabola, the vertex happens between the two x-intercepts. So we just need to find this middle location. So add up this one and that one and divide them by 2 to find the average, the middle. Okay, so to find vertex, find vertex. Okay, so our first step is going to be the x part of the vertex is when we add up the two roots. So add up the first root plus the second root and divide it by 2. Can I help you? You got it? Okay. So the roots are the numbers that are given in the question. It's 1 and negative 3. And then we divide that by 2. 1 minus 3 is negative 2 over 2. And that gets me an x value of negative 1. What am I trying to find right now? Pardon? The vertex. So far, I have found the x of the vertex. Okay? So, basically, what's my end goal is to write the vertex. And I already know that the x is going to be negative 1. So I just need to find the y. Any ideas how I can do that? Yeah, Victoria. You can absolutely do that. Now, we've got many options here. So Victoria was saying sub negative 1 into an equation to find y. You could use factored form. You can use standard form. Doesn't matter. It still finds you y. Okay? Sub in x equals negative 1 to find y. So I'll use standard form. You can try factored form. It's all the same. Okay, so wherever we have an x, I'm subbing in -1. I make sure I square it if that's what I need to do. -6 times -1. And this one, I will do all this arithmetic in one step. So I've got -3 plus 6 plus 9. So that gets me to 12. Holy guacamole, what a question, right? We first found the equation in factored form, then in standard form, and then we found the vertex. Yeah, might be. Are you really asking me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know you hang your head in embarrassment. Yes.
If you substitute -4 into the factored form, I'm getting -7.
Interesting.
No, I substituted.
So -1 minus 1 is going to be -2. -1 plus 3 is going to be +2 times -3.
Oh, you love that.
There you go. Okay. Moving on. Oh, let's bring in the fractions. Yes. Okay, folks, this is called active reading. Okay, if you have a highlighter, if you have a pencil, underline, circle. So my practice, I didn't do it on, is to underline all the given information and circle what I need to answer. That's just how I like to do it. So go ahead and read this question to yourself. Last drop of coffee. What's a sad moment? Now, as you read this, next thing you want to think to yourself is, what is my plan of action? Okay, so if you need to go back to the first page, look at what we did. Can we use the same plan of action? Just review what those steps were. And now turn to the person you talked to earlier and talk about what the plan of action is.
Yeah, first I'll write down the question.
Are people trying this on their own?
Yeah.
Is that what you want? How many people can try this on their own? How many people want me to do it with you?
Can you do it on the board while we do it on our own?
You want me to do it silently? And then we talk through it?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll talk quietly into the video so that if someone's watching the video. Okay, don't listen. All right. So step 1 is to write down the information that I have. So I have a point, 3 7/10. I'm also given my roots. So root 1 is -1/2. Root 2 is 5/2. So this is what I'm given. So as I did in the last question, the first step is going to be to find the equation in factored form. Okay, so step 1, if I look back, what was my first step? Well, it was to sub in the roots into factored form. So I've got y equals a, x minus something, x minus something, right? So we have to sub in roots. Okay, well, my roots are -1/2 and 5/2. And so this negative becomes positive. Okay, so I go x plus 1/2, x minus 5/2. Okay, so folks, I really discourage you from just copying, right? You're not doing your brain any favors. So you can stop me as I'm writing to be like, Miss Lai, stop and answer my question right now. I want an answer, okay? But please don't just copy blindly. Okay, and now step 2, as we had in question 1, is to sub in the point. So the only difference with this question is that there are fractions. Sub in point. What's the point? 3,7/10. Okay, so my y is 7/10. I don't know my a. I've got my x is 3 plus 1/2 x, and then 3 minus 5/2. Okay, so we've got ugly fractions. So now all we do is simplify. And I'll leave the 7/10 for now. And now 3 I'll write as 6/2. Yeah.
I get that for 3/2, we turn it to 6/2 by times the division, but then you have to do it for like, what is times 7/10 by 6?
I'm leaving the 7/10 for now, just to see what happens when I simplify.
Okay.
Oh, no, because I get your question. You're saying if I multiply one thing, I have to multiply the other thing. Not true, because in this case, what I'm actually doing, Luke, is I'm multiplying 3 by 2/2, and this equals to 1. So I'm not changing the value of these numbers. I'm just writing an equivalent fractions that equals the same value. Got it? Great question. Yeah. No, good question. Can you put the fraction in decimal? No, you must work in fraction form. Thank you for asking. I'm sorry for giving you the answer you didn't want to hear. Why can't you write it in decimal? Because it is not good practice, because you may lose some information as we write in decimal form. 6 minus 5 is 1/2. Now when we multiply the numerators, we multiply the denominators. Okay. How do I divide by a fraction, Miss Sly? Well, we practiced this, did we not? Divided by 7/4. Oh, wait a second. That's the same thing. Ooh, look at that. The 7s are going to cancel out. Isn't that wonderful? See, Luke, why I didn't change the 7/10? Because I was like, it might work out. And it did. Cross cancel the 7s. I get a nice 4/10. Well, 4/10 is the same as 2/5, and that is my a value. So if fractions are something you're not comfortable with, go to a Kumon website, or just go to like fraction worksheets and do fraction worksheets. I know it's going back to grade 4, but fractions need to be really like you need to have that practice. Yeah. Because with BEDMAS, the first step is B, which is brackets, and that means, is there something you can do inside the brackets? And there is something you can do. If you FOILed, you would have gotten the same answer, but with a lot more work. So I simplified what's inside the brackets. Yeah? Great. Okay, so with my new a value, I can write the equation in factored form. Okay, what do I have? I've got 2 over 5. I've got 1/2, and I got 5 over 2. Yeah, we had to work a bit harder for this one. There is a question. Ask. Don't be afraid. Yeah.
Will it be mistaken if we write in the first brackets x minus 1, or 1 over 2?
It's not fully simplified. Yeah, by this point, you should be writing x plus 1/2.
Okay.
So the question was, can I write x minus negative 1/2? No. That's you showing me that you don't understand that is actually adding. Okay, we got factored form. Let's get it into standard. What do we do? Expand. So here we use FOIL because we cannot combine the two terms in the fractions. Again, leave the 2 over 5. We get x squared minus 5 over 2x plus 1/2 x minus, we're multiplying, 5 over 4. Minus 4 over 2x, thank goodness, because we can simplify it. So 4 over 2 simplifies to just 2. And then I expand, or I distribute 2 over 5 to each term. So x squared times 2 over 5 is just 2 over 5, x squared. 2 over 5 times 2, you're just saying, it's going to be 4 over 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 5 times 4 is 20. And then we'll simplify the fraction. And in this kind of question, you would have to say, yeah, this is standard form, right? So that I know that you know that this is standard form. I think if I did this on a quiz, I would leave a box for standard form and factored form, and you put the appropriate ones in there. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to find the vertex for this one. It's the same process, but just in the interest of time, I want to show you a different type of question. All right, if you are done that example, move on and read example 3. Yes. They did say find the vertex. I don't have space, and also I don't have time, so I'm just not going to find the vertex. But you would do the same thing as you did in example 1. All right, let's move on to example 3. So this is different, folks. Determine the equation of the parabola with a vertex of 2, 3 and a y-intercept of 19. Whoa, 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 this is different, right? So let's write down what we have. Okay, for given, I've got that the vertex is 2, 3, And I have that the y-intercept is 19. That means 0, 19. Okay, so they're tricky. They did give me 2 points, not 3. So I can't do it the same way as I did before. But I can use vertex form, right? The question doesn't tell you which form to use. It just says write the equation. Okay, well, I'm going to take advantage of that and use vertex form. So in vertex form, right, that is, if you need a reminder, that's y equals a x minus h squared plus k. So it's like, oh, I have the h and I have the k. And then the y-intercept is actually, it doesn't matter that it's the y-intercept. That's just a point, right? It's playing the part of the point. Yes?
On the quiz, will we have a formula sheet?
No. Yeah, I guess I could give you these formulas, but I won't tell you this is standard form. But I'll write down this on the board. I'll write down this on the board and standard form. Is that good? And if I forget, please remind me. And midpoint too. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So in vertex form, what do we got? We don't know A, but we know X minus H. My H is 2. And I know my K plus 3. So if I'm using vertex form, I'm like, oh, gold. I'm actually in a good position. Because now, when I sub in a point, I have all the information I need to find A. That 0 should not have been there. So this one's actually pretty nice. So remember, if you need to practice BEDMAS, then you're practicing BEDMAS as well, right? No shame in having to go back and just review some of these. So bring the 3 over, 19 minus 3 equals A, 0 minus 2 all squared is just 4. 19 minus 3 is 16. Equals 4A divided by 4 divided by 4. And we get that A equals 4. And so since we are not told which equation to write, we will write it in vertex form. So in this case, all we needed to find was the A. Now, I don't have time to do example 4. I will make a video of it, but it's similar to examples 1 and 2. Okay? Except that the roots are opposite, so you're going to do difference of squares, right? So if you want to try this at home and then watch my video, you're going to use difference of squares. Okay? And folks, a reminder that today, second half of lunch, so at around 12 o'clock, you can come in to room 201, right? You can even come there at the beginning and just do your work if you want, right? But I'll start answering questions after like 12 o'clock. So it's 2 rooms over. Okay, just look in and look for me. Does that make sense? Who will I see extra help today? Excellent. Good. Great.